It's Santa Pod Raceway, it's July, it's American Independence celebration time, and it's the return of the Cannonball. The most grueling funny car race for cars using nitromethane as fuel, for cars using alcohol or methanol as fuel. We mix them all up. They have to run 1 mile, and it's the one who runs the quickest mile who gets the Cannonball trophy. Also racing this weekend in the Budweiser Drag Series is the RAC MSA Torco Top Alcohol Championship. One of the main contenders for 1994 has got to be this car. Driven by Nottinghamshire businessman Barry Sheevels, this all-new British-built car has to be considered to be one of the front runners in the series. Barry Sheevels here, measuring up a young lad who's one day going to grow into that T-shirt, we're sure. Feeling fairly confident this weekend, but he's got a lot of stiff competition. Craig Loge from Welwyn Garden City, now running with sponsorship from the Rug Doctor, out to prove his form this weekend. And for something a little bit different, the sit-up and beg falls, or Outlaw Anglias as we call them, taking us back to the 40s and the 50s when drag racing started. Well, as it is such a fast and furious weekend, let's quickly go and meet all of the competitors who are taking part in the 1994 Cannonball. Here's the favourite, John Spuffer from Great Britain, winner twice over of this championship, 92 and 93, looking for another win this year.
Well, we're here, we're not going to sit back and let the others beat us. We're here to run hard, we're going to run hard.
What about the competition here? Do you think it's going to be tough?
The competition's going to be tough with the track conditions. The alcohol cars have got a lot more going for them than we have. We've got too much horsepower, which we can't take away. What's
the difference?
I mean, we're probably playing with 3,500, 4,000 horsepower as opposed to their maybe 2,000 horsepower, 2.5, whatever they have. We have multi-stage clutches. The track is loose around about the 8th mark, as we just found out. So we're trying to compensate for that in the clutch department now, and all we can do is wait and see what happens tomorrow.
So the alcohol cars are going to have an advantage over the fuel cars this weekend, do you think?
The alcohol cars definitely have an advantage on fuel cars, the way the track is standing up at the moment.
Now, we saw an amazingly wild ride from you at the last race meeting here. The car was all over the place. You saved it from certain annihilation.
Yeah, that was a wild ride for me as well. That was a combined thing as well. I mean, the track then started to break up, as everyone saw, and we were just skating on balls of rubber, basically, and the car took a left turn so violently I couldn't do anything but what you actually saw on the camera.
Does that kind of thing put you off driving again?
It doesn't put me off. They're a short wheelbase car, so they're kind of fun to drive. You have to drive them. They kind of have a mind of their own, and when they want to get out of the groove, it's your job to try and keep them back there. So.
Well, good luck out there tomorrow, John, because I know all the crowd's behind you.
Well, there's some tough competition, but the crowd's behind us, as you say, and we'll go for it.
Well, one of the strongest adversaries that John Spufford must have at this meeting is this man, the Budweiser driver, Harlan Thompson. And Harlan, of course, the most winningest driver. He's won 4 times at the Cannonball. The Cannonball's only been going since 1981. Now, to ensure that he has a smooth ride this year, he has got a big team with him. Al Segrini from America, American crew chief extraordinaire Bill Schultz is here with him as well. And this man is looking for win number 5. Does he think he can do it?
Now you've got a lot of hired guns with you this weekend. Who are they?
Well, we have Bill Schultz from America and Elsa Greeny, are both real top racers from over there. And both of them probably got 25, 30 years of experience. And they're personal friends of mine, so I bring them over as much as I can.
And you haven't won a Cannonball for a while. Is this the one for you?
Well, I hope so, yeah. It's been, I don't know, what, 3 years or something. We had kind of bad luck. We usually qualify real good, and we're running good, but little things break and knock us out. But we always try, and we'll always be right there.
Well, you must never ever discount this man, Michael Kagarav from Sweden. Mickey, the fastest alcohol-burning funny car in Europe, was last year's runner-up. He was the winner in his old Ford Tempo in 1990, and of course is looking for consistency this year to stave off the attack of the top fuel cars.
Now, Mickey Kagarav, you've got the fastest top alcohol funny car in Europe. You've also won the Cannonball before, and you're also one of the best loved Swedes over here in England. That 3 things that should put you in good stead for this Cannonball race. Are you fairly confident?
Yeah, I am, and I hope it should be okay.
Because you've qualified so far as the fastest car, and you've got 6 fuel cars against you. You're an alcohol car. That shouldn't really happen in drag racing, should it?
No, it shouldn't happen, but the track is very difficult just now. It's very slippery, and maybe it's better for me because I have a less horsepower in the car, but it's very difficult just now.
And will this man do well this year? This is American Tom Hoover, one of the winningest drivers on the NHRA circuit in the States, here driving someone else's car. This is Harlan Thompson's number 2 car, and I wonder how he feels this weekend and what his chances are.
Tom Hoover, everyone's very impressed that you've arrived over from the States to race in the Cannonball again this year, and you're racing the second Budweiser car. Does that mean you have to let Harlan win?
Well, that wasn't the deal, and we're sure going to be trying to upset him here, no matter what car we're in, but we appreciate his hospitality here and inviting us here to compete in this race. We just had a real kind of a tough driving job a minute ago in the car. We're trying to see why it doesn't want to go straight. It's his second car, so we got to do some work on the chassis tonight and try and get it straightened out so we can be competitive tomorrow.
What's it like getting into somebody else's car that you're just not acquainted with?
It's very difficult. I mean, that was the first run. It takes a couple, 3 runs. I don't care who you are to get dialed in. And someday if we ever have our stateside car over here, I'll have like a pair of gloves I'm used to. So in the meantime, we'll just see if we can get it straightened out and get the car running.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, here's new man from Great Britain, Alan Jackson. And he is just a little bit worried about the sort of competition that he's coming up against at his first ever Cannonball. Now, Alan is a rookie driver. He's not a rookie driver in the strict sense that he's not been drag racing before. In actual fact, he used to be a pro stock bike rider. But when he's coming up against the likes of Harlan Thompson, Tom Hoover, and all of the others here who've got so much experience in the Cannonball, he's a wee bit nervous. However, the pedigree of his car is quite extraordinary. This was an American race car brought over and raced in a Cannonball a few years ago by ace British driver Gary Page. Here's another car that's really in the Cannonball without a lot of chance. This is the Time Machine, owned by the Gledo brothers. Mick Gledo does the driving, Bob Gledo does the wrenching, and they're driving a machine which is really termed an econo funny car. Let's meet Mick.
Our engine doesn't have a supercharger like the others. We're running just straight methanol. Our engine is also based on a production engine. This engine actually started life in the Lincoln Continental, and we rescued it from a scrapyard and we put in all the racing goodies. But even having done that, you know, we know we're up against it this weekend. But you know, we thrive on adversity. We like the idea of running our car against the bigger funny cars. And so, you know, we're here to sort of go for it and pull the tails of the bigger cars, I think.
Well, here's a man that we've seen here so many times before, Norwegian Runefield, and back in the hot seat of the funny car for the first time in 2 or 3 years. Now, we normally see Rune when he's crewing for the crowd's favourite Liv Bierstadt in Top Fuel. Well, how will he do this weekend? We don't know, but he's going to be up against the likes of this man, local man Clive Michel, with this very futuristic looking Alton. Well, it's Top Fuel but it runs that very, very small body on there, and it's a real crowd pleaser.
Clive, Michelle, this is the wildest fuel altered that we've seen. It's entered into the Cannonball this weekend. Can you tell us what the difference between this car and, say, the Budweiser car is?
More or less the chassis, engine combination, transmission is all more or less the same. We run a little less nitro percentage because the cars are a little bit unpredictable because you haven't got too much downforce on the body. It's more of a nostalgia car, but these where funny cars evolved from years ago. But they are very unpredictable to drive, so you have to be a bit cautious.
Well, will Clyde Michelle be cautious? I doubt it. Here's a man who's got a real heavy driving job on this weekend. See him sitting in there, that's Bernie Hepworth in his funny car, running both in the Cannonball and Top Alcohol Championships. So what are his thoughts and aspirations for the weekend?
Well, the car's new to us, so we've got to get some time in it and get sorted out. But I'm quite confident we can run quicker and be on the numbers of the other guys. I don't see any problem.
These men get into their cars after the break for some furious funny car action in round one of the 1994 Cannonball.
You're watching Sky Sports.
They're our first pair of runs from the 1994 Cannonball, and John Spuffard and Harlan Thompson, judged by a lot of people here to be the favourites for the trophy in 1994, cracking off a 6.65 for John Spuffard and a 6.82 for Harlan Thompson. Now, the Cannonball is all about consistency, running low ETs as often as you can. Now, these truly are not races. They're side-by-side runs to recall times. Here's our next pair, the green and white car, Sweden's Michael Kagerad, running an alcohol car, running alongside him, Norway's Rune Field in a top fuel funny car, and it's Kagerad all the way. Never, ever discount this man, Michael Kagerad, because he records the quickest time we've seen so far, 6.33 and a 6.86 for Rune Field. So at the moment, Michael Kagerad with the alcohol car is showing the way forward. He's got the lowest ET on top of all of the fuel cars that are here. Here's our next pair coming out to the line. Rookie driver Alan Jackson from Great Britain, but the second Budweiser car in the hands of Minnesota veteran drag racer Tom Hoover. Now, Tom Hoover has never, ever won this event before. He's been here campaigning it since the mid-80s. He is a winning driver from the American series, the NHRA series out there in America. And he is looking for a good time here. They're away together. Hoover goes right out to the side, really fighting this all the way. Alan Jackson on his first ever run in that car, drives by that top fuel driver. 7.67 for Alan Jackson and a disappointing 8.68 for Tom Hoover. And just look at the driving job that Hoover does here, all the way towards that right-hand side, almost clipping the Armco as he makes his way through the quarter mile. Well, they say this is the roughest, toughest funny car race, and you can just see why, can't you? These short wheelbase, either alcohol burning or top fuel burning cars really are a handful. Well, we've got a pair of very unusual machines here. This is Clive Michelle, local man to the track with a hot rod from hell. This is a California kid sporting a Model T body with that very futuristic cockpit. Now, Clive is absolutely wedged inside that car. He's a real big guy, favourite with the crowd here. Running alongside him, the man from Essex, Mick Gledo, with his Econo funny car. That's a full Mondeo. Clive Michelle's got a problem on the start line there. The ever-vigilant start line crew have noticed a fuel leak. They've shut him down. And Mick Gledo, really a David amongst all the Goliaths here, running with what is ostensibly a street engine in there, records a 9.49. Well, he is looking for consistency, and who knows in the Cannonball what will happen. Well, we spoke to this man just a little while ago, the man from Leeds, Bernie Hepworth, really starting to get everything together now with his Dodge Daytona. Wedged tightly in the back of that machine. He's had some real problems with tyre shake over the last year when he's been trying with this Dodge Daytona, but everything seems to come together very nicely, and he records a 7.88. Okay, so let's just have a look and see what happened at the end of round one of the Cannonball. Sitting right there on top of the pile, Sweden's Michael Kagerad, but right up his exhaust pipe, the UK's John Spufford with a 665, and then Harlan Thompson with a 682, and Rune Field from Norway with a 687. It could be absolutely anybody's after round one. It's going to be tough, but let's move on to round one of the Top Alcohol Championship. Leading contender, Barry Sheevels, coming out for his first run. And that looks pretty strong to me from Barry Sheevels. And he's up against this man. From Essex, that's Tony Betts, featuring that all-new funny car body. In fact, I think that's about the third paint scheme we've seen Tony Betts in since the car was debuted earlier this season. Now, Barry Sheevels was our #1 qualifier this weekend, having ran a 6.36. Tony Betts, still coming to terms with driving the funny car, really does have his work cut out here. But it's Barry Sheevels all the way, and he looks to be running quicker and quicker each time he comes out. He records a 6.34, takes the win. Tony Betts loses out 7.35. So Barry Sheevels marches on into the next round of alcohol. Well, we have a full 8-car field for this round 2 of this year's Alcohol Championship. And a man looking to do better, to have better fortunes, is this man from Welwyn Garden City, Craig Lowes. Now, he's got quite a formidable first round opponent in the shape of the West Country's Doug Bond. Well, there goes Craig with a burnout. Doug Bond doesn't seem able to light the tyres up coming across the start line. Now, that can be a real problem for him later, because the idea of the burnout is to warm up the compound in those huge rear slicks. That then gives them good start line traction. Now, I wonder if this is going to prove a problem for Doug Bond. He knows that he's got to get away from that start line really quickly. He's up against a very experienced drag racer in the form of Craig Lowes. So here they come, building up the revs on the start line, and Doug Bond pulls the red. Well, he was trying to get away in front of Craig Lowes, and he over-anticipated the green coming on. He pulls a red light, automatically kicks himself out of the competition, and allows Craig Lowes to take the win. Craig runs a 7.52 at 185 miles per hour. What rotten luck for Doug Bond. Here's our next pair. Funny Car and Dragster. Well, that's Bernie Hepworth. And this is Dave Wilson. Well, we've already seen Bernie once. He came out and had a little try in the Cannonball, and now he's going in looking for points in the RAC Alcohol Championship. But he's up against a real strong contender here in the form of Dave Wilson. Dave Wilson was the number 2 qualifier here this weekend, and it's Dave Wilson all the way with his Krypton dragster. He gets to the top end first, records a 6.57. Bernie's getting quicker though, gets a 7.33, but it's Dave Wilson who finds himself in the next round. Well, our next pair gives us another dragster against a funny car. Local man Rob Turner with his dragster up against the quiet giant of top alcohol racing, Big Mac, Kenny McCormick with the Corvette funny car. Now, Rob Turner was our number 3 qualifier here, and Kenny McCormick still very much a learning driver with this machine. Running in the 7s, Rob Turner runs in the 6s. So, it should all point towards Rob Turner getting to the top end first. But Kenny McCormick is getting quicker, and he likes to leave that start line very, very quickly indeed. And it's another red light. Kenny McCormick goes too quick, hands the win to Rob Turner, but Rob records at 6.58, 200 miles an hour. So in the semi-finals, it's all dragsters, Sheevels, Lowe's, Wilson, Turner. Let's snatch a quick word with Rob Turner.
I left the line and was starting to chase him, and then thought I'd won the race, so then didn't go for the ET, so now we've not got lane choice for the next round.
But so the high 7 doesn't really reflect the car, it just reflected what you were thinking at the time.
Yeah, that's right. It threw me on the line. You know, you're psyched up, ready to go, and something like that happens, it throws your concentration.
So the car's in good shape, you're up against Wilson in the next round, yeah?
Yeah. We put a new blower on for the last qualifying session, but that threw us a bit. We didn't really have time to get a combination in the car to suit that blower. So now that passes give us a bit more idea, so we're taking a bit more clutch out because the car got a bit loose at about half track, so hopefully it'll get down there this time.
Craig, you got a 7.52 in the last round, but I bet you're not happy even though you're going through into the semi-final.
Yeah, very lucky to go through, really. I mean, we're happy from that point of view that we're into the final, but obviously the time there is well off our pace, and obviously we're a bit concerned about that, but Stuart, the crew chief's got the handle on that, and I'm sure the adjustments he's made with the rest of the team's going to put us through into the next round quite comfortably. You know, we're going to be giving Barry a good race.
Barry, you ran a 6.36 in qualifying, 6.34 in the first round.
That's right.
You pitted up against Lowe's in the next round. You pretty happy?
Yeah, we're pretty happy. Again, we're still playing with the clutch at the moment. Tried a little bit more clutch on that run, and it ran quicker, but got a little bit loose when I shifted into third gear. Drifted over to the sideline and decided just to pedal it back and come back into the track, so top end speed was down, but yeah, we're pretty happy.
Well, with the burnout, Craig Lowe's and Barry Sheevels. This is the second round of top alcohol. Barry Sheevels very, very confident, and that's where things can sometimes go wrong. Just jerk that motor and forget which gear you're in. You saw Barry Sheevels heading off back towards the barn behind race control. Well, here they are, away almost together, but it's Sheevels all the way. Problems for Craig Lowe's, and Barry Sheevels gets himself a place in the final with a run of 6.27, 213 miles per hour. He just gets quicker and quicker. So here's our next pair, the man from High and Ferris, Rob Turner, up against Dave Wilson from Farnborough. And on their preceding times, it should be a very, very close race. They got into this particular round with almost identical times, and this looks to be a cracking race. Who's it going to be at the top end? It is just Dave Wilson who gets in there right at the top end, runs a 6.34, 219 miles per hour. This gives us a very exciting final. Barry Sheevels against Dave Wilson. Can't wait. Okay, after the break, we'll be back with this man, the world record holder Sammy Miller in his rocket car vanishing point. Don't go away.
You're watching Sky Sports.
Hey, the fire crew then getting on station for round 2 of the 94 Cannonball, where all of these drivers are looking for the best elapsed times. Don't forget, we're not racing, we're just looking for the time. This is John Spuffard, the local man from Rushton, and in this round he's going to be running alongside Michael Kagarad. Now, if you recall, after round 1, Michael Kagarad recorded the quickest elapsed time, 6.33. John Spuffard was the number 2 man with a 6.65. So John Spuffard needs to run in this round what we know this Showtime funny car can do, a 5-second pass. Michael Kagarad, however, is going to be looking for low 6-second consistency. What's going to happen? Here we come, up to the start line, both looking for low ETs. Best green, Spuffard away first. And it's Kagarad drives by him. Spuffard has a problem. It looks as though the blower has lifted on Spuffard's car. And it's a great run for Michael Kagarad. He records a 6.21. Well, he is now well out in front of the field, and that 8.45 has not helped John Spuffard at all. Well, here's our next pair, the 2 British funny cars, the Econo funny car of Mick Gleadow and the Beretta of Alan Jackson. Now, after round 1, they are really in the 1994 Cannonball, what we might nicely class as also-rans. Certainly Alan Jackson recorded a 7 on his first run, and the time machine, this beautiful Ford Mondeo of the Gleadow brothers, has recorded a 9. But here they are, looking for the next run, and Alan Jackson really proving that he's getting the terms with his top alcohol funny car. Runs an 8.08, clinging it off early at the top end. Mick Gleadow runs a 10.05. Well, there seems to have been something leaking from Mick Gledow's car, so as always, you have to make sure that track is perfectly dry out there for the next pair of cars to come through. And an absolute storming burnout there from Rune Field from Norway, and matching him yard for yard in the left-hand lane, Clive Michel from Great Britain. Well, Rune Field, after the first round, sat in the number 4 spot, having run a 6.86. He is a past Cannonball winner and goes up in smoke on the start line. Clive Michel puts in a very, very slow run in that left-hand lane. Problems for him also. And we get a 9.32 for Clive Michel and an 8.91 for Rune Field. That hasn't helped Rune at all. Well, one of the busiest pit areas here at the 1994 Cannonball has been the Budweiser pit, and you can see why. Fielding 2 cars out onto the line together, both driven by Americans. Tom Hoover, the man who has always wanted to win the Cannonball, and Harlan Thompson, the man who has had more Cannonball wins than absolutely anybody. Problems for Hoover, but let's watch Harlan Thompson. He flies through 5.63, 264 miles per hour, the quickest terminal speed for a funny car in the UK. Well done, Harlan. Now let's see how they're shaping up after round 2. Well, it's now Michael Kagarad in second spot, just 1/10 of a second behind Harlan Thompson, and that's 3 seconds away. John Spuffard, I don't think he's got a chance of catching them.
Harlan, just when you need to pull one out of the bag, you do, huh?
We do it quite a bit. You know, these cars are awfully inconsistent because they have so much horsepower, but we slowed it down quite a bit and we got in there pretty good. So now if we can do one more consistent run like this, we'll be looking pretty good.
Yeah, straight through to the final and...
Well, hopefully, but you can't make any predictions for these cars. They're too unpredictable. But I think we're looking real good and we're trying to be conservative with it, and I feel pretty good about it.
Bump spot is not a position you're used to.
No, we definitely had some trouble so far this weekend. Last run we had a magneto come disconnected and the car had no power whatsoever. So things bite you when you travel over here and have to rush things together, and that's just small stuff. Always is the problem here, but hopefully we can get together here, maybe run Runa here for the booby prize with Santa Pod and carry on. Next year, there's some comments I've been bringing my U.S. car over here, so hopefully I can bring my own car over here next year and look good for once.
John, and last year's champion, you mustn't be happy with your number 3, or are you?
No, we're obviously disappointed on that. Unfortunately, we had a new pro belt on the car and it decided to let go on us. It's one of those things, you never know what's going to happen.
So you're 3 seconds behind Mickey and Harlan. Is there any chance of making that up?
Not making 3 seconds up. We can try and make some of it up. But of course, it's another round to go. We'll see what happens to them. You know, they might have a problem. They might have a 10 cents part break, you know. That's the awkward thing. You never know what's going to break. And the slightest little thing can break.
Mickey, after round 2, you're in second position behind Harlan. Did that run of his surprise you?
No, he's a really good guy and he's supposed to go low 5s, I think.
So you think that he's going to be able to continue his form and you'll stay in second place in the next round?
I hope I'm in the second place. I go to the final and then see what's happening.
Make me feel so.
You know, when I was a kid, doctors used to use Ford pots, but here they are now, these 8-second cars coming out to do battle in round 1 of the Outlaw Anglia experience. Andy Carter closest to the camera with his alcohol-burning pot, up against new man Rob Stone with his Mopar powered sit-up and beggar. And just look at Andy Carter fly through there. Would you believe this? 8.40, 152 miles per hour. Stunning stuff. Well, of course, these are no ordinary sit-up and beg Fords. These run full race chassis. They've got huge V8 engines in them, and they are proper race cars. This whole new brigade of drag racing aficionados making their way out onto the strip. Andy Brisbane with the red car, new man Paul Hencher with the yellow Ford Anglia. And it's Brisbane all the way. He takes the win, 9.44, 143 miles an hour. Look how close that was. Well, this machine is called Talk of the Devil, and I think you're going to see why. There's a massive 8-litre plus engine in there, and he's up against new kid on the block, Pete Ashworth, in the Dayglow Twister, and Pete Ashworth hooks up those front wheels, but he's just no match for this regular 8-second runner. Tony Baker flies through there and takes the win, 8.52, 161 miles an hour from a full pop. Well, it's getting quicker and quicker. Danny Cockerell with the silver pop away first, up against Paul Wright, and it's Cockerell all the way. Another man regularly into the 8-second bracket, leaves Paul Wright looking slow, but he's not slow. It's just that Danny Cockerell is another 8-second pass, 8.82, 150 miles per hour. So, next round, the semi-final sees Andy Carter against Andy Brisbane, Tony Baker against Danny Cockerell. These are so powerful. Well, two different types of burnouts there. Andy Brisbane with the static burnout, and this man, Andy Carter, with his alcohol burning setup, going for the rolling burnout. Now, Brisbane's away first and leaves Carter to do all the chasing, but that power of that huge Keithlake engine tells Andy Carter drives by him, gets himself a place in the final, and records a time of 8.77, 143 miles per hour. Well, this is going to be a great one. Both of these cars run in the 8-second bracket. They're both looking for the accolade of being the quickest pop. Now, who's it going to be? Well, it's Danny Cockrell who's away first. Well, I'm amazed. Tony Baker asleep on the line. Usually the man has lightning reactions, and it is Danny Cockrell who gets himself a place in the final, 8.71. But look at that losing time for Tony Baker. So there it is then. Andy Carter with the alcohol-burning Red Bull pop is up against Danny Cockrell. Well, that could be absolutely anybody's. We move on. This is round number 3 on the Cannonball. They're really going for it in earnest now. Harlan Thompson, Ruderfield. Harlan Thompson, a load of clutch dust out the back of his car. Cracks off another storming run, 5.82. Clicks it off before the finish line, 184 miles an hour. Surely it's got to be Harlan Thompson in the final. Don't forget, we're looking for the quickest 2 over the first 3/4 of a mile. Now here's the man that can be with him, Michael Cagaran, running alongside Bernie Hetworth. And it's Cagaran all the way, 6:26. I think we've seen our 2 finalists, Michael Cagaran and Harlan Thompson. Okay, so really for our other drivers, it's a little bit of an anticlimax. They now know that unless they run times like half a second, they're not going to get into that final. But this is Clive Michelle and Mick Gledo putting on a show for us. Clive Michelle with the California Kid runs a 9.20. Mick Gledo runs a 9.29. Well, 2 men of whom so much was expected this weekend. Great Britain's John Spuffard, the man who has held the trophy, the Cannonball Trophy, for the last 2 years, was looking to retain it, and he's up against the bud car of Tom Hoover, and Hoover has just not had a good weekend. Spuffard goes right out of shape on that run. He recalls a 7.30, and poor Tom Hoover going back to the States, again beaten by the bug of the Cannonball. He recalls a 12.12. So final man, Great Britain's Chevrolet Beretta, shooed by new man to the class, Alan Jackson. Well, in terms of going up against the finalists, Alan Jackson is nowhere in sight. But for himself, he has had a fabulous weekend. He has come out here, his first major showing in this car. Before he ran this, he was a pro stock bike rider. Strangely enough, taking the win at the Cannonball run in 1985. When he puts in a good straight run, there's lots of potential for that man. 7.32, 185 miles an hour. So, after round 3, this is how it looks. The quickest over the first 3/4, Harlan Thompson, 18.27, a top fuel car. Second, Michael Cagaran with the alcohol car, 18.8. And now we meet the crowd's favourite person. From America, the man who has been promising so much with the Vanishing Point funny car, slamming Sammy Miller. Well, this is a machine which we've seen numerous times here at Santa Pod, and Sammy has had loads and loads of problems in 1994, all caused by fuel. Here we go with the countdown. Is it going to work this time?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Sammy Miller! 5.03, 203 miles an hour. We'll be back after the break with the finals.
You're watching.
Okay, the expectancy here is amazing because we're heading now into all of our finals. And first off, it's these maniac machines, the Outlaw Anglias. Well, Danny Cockrell's really got it all to do here. He, with the silver machine, got through into this round with an 8.8. up against Andy Carter with the alcohol burning pot, who got through to this round with lane 4, but it's Danny Cockerell who needs to start line first, and it's going to be Cockerell all the way through. He takes the win, 8.74. Andy Carter, with the self-proclaimed fastest pop outside of America, loses out. And Danny Cockerell must be feeling so pleased with himself. He's made his way right the way through this competition, and right there in the final takes out the favourite, Andy Carter. And I can see Danny Cockerell dining out on this one for months and months to come. He looks so absolutely pleased with himself. Look at that.
Barry, you've made it to the final once again, a familiar place for you. Every time you've come out this weekend, keep improving on your times. You must be a happy man.
Yeah. Every time I come out, put a little bit more clutch in, a little bit more blower, trying to get the horsepower down to the track. And hopefully now, in the final, now the heat starts to go away and there's a bit more air, we're hoping for a low 620 this time.
So you've changed the combination since the last run?
Yes, yeah.
Put a bit more in?
Just a bit more, yeah. Not too much. Don't overpower the track and start tyre shake. It's very important that we get through and win this final. You know, at the moment, we are actually in front in the British Championship, so that's where I want to stay.
Dave, you've had a great day, 6:34 in the last round, an improvement every time you've come out. You must be a pretty happy man too.
Yeah, we're pretty pleased today. We had a lot of gremlins this weekend. We got a new combination, the new clutch combination, and we've had the gremlins to get over, and we just keep improving a little bit every time. We're creeping up on it all the time.
Because you must know this track inside out by now. You've been racing here for years.
I've been up and down it a few times, yeah.
So what have you done for the next run? Have you put a bit more clutch in, or are you taking it out?
Oh, we got a bit of everything in everywhere this time. We got everything in the trailer, in the car.
So you've stepped up a bit?
Yeah.
Well, here they go then. Barry Sheevels with his burnout, and Dave Wilson will be coming out into the opposing lane. Don't forget, this is the final of the second round of the Talco Oil sponsored RAC MSA Top Alcohol Championship, and both of these guys have stepped up on power for the final, so this could be anybody. So even between these two. They're both hardened competitors, both been around drag racing for years. There's nothing you can teach either of these two. It's all on start line reaction and power. And this is Dave Wilson, eyes fixed on the Christmas tree, and they're away together. Barry Sheevels gets a little bit out of shape, clips the 8th mile mirrors, still stays out there in front. Now, did he cross that white line? Now, that could really be a point in Dave Wilson's favour. He saw Barry Sheevels coming towards him. Now, if Barry Sheevels has crossed that centre white line, he will be out. Now, let's have a look and see. And they come towards this 8th mile mark, and Barry almost sideways onto the track. Dave Wilson can see him coming and holds back a little bit. Now watch that rear slick. He runs through all that timing equipment, but does not cross that centre white line. Barry gets the win. Well, a 6:67 is the win time, 6:68 is the lose-out time. Dave Wilson isn't going to like that, but it's Barry Sheevels who collects maximum points.
I had my hands full on the run, and obviously I was well out of shape at times, and I think I've touched the 8th mile marker. Now, the rules state that when you cross a line, you must cross the line. The RAC officials have been out and had a look at the tyre tracks, and they said that we didn't cross the line. So they've given us the win now. So from doing a run that I thought I'd won, I was told I'd lost, and now I've told I've won. So I'm over the moon.
Well, I guess I was probably closer than anybody else, and I figured he'd crossed the white line, and all I could see was he was coming towards me, and he didn't look like he was stopping. He'd taken out both the mirrors, and I thought it was about time I stopped trying to drive into him at that rate. So I got off the throttle, and he corrected it, went back into his lane, got back on the throttle again, and I'd already passed him because he'd slowed down, and then he repassed me in the lights. Fortunately, I didn't get back into my throttle again, because in avoiding him, I'd blown the fuel line clean off the top of the pump. There's a back pressure. So I guess if I'd have got back in and passed him as I could have done at the top, I'd have lost the motor. So I'm disappointed, but I'm happy I've still got a car.
Well, this is the one everybody has come here to see this weekend, the final of the Cannonball. Sweden against America. Alcohol car against top fuel car. Harlan Thompson, the winningest driver in the Cannonball, up against last year's runner-up, Michael Cagaran. World War consistency of the alcohol car still as Harlan Thompson goes up in smoke, but he drives through it. It's Thompson who takes the win. What a super weekend the New Jersey man has had here at Santa Pod. And that's a storming run, 5.89. Mickey Cagaran, consistent right the way through, loses out with a 6.22. And that's the sportsman, Michael Cagaran, walks across to Harlan Thompson, puts the hand through the windshield and says, hey, well done, my friend. And here's the result. Harlan Thompson, for the 5th time, the 1994 Cannonball champion.
Well, Mickey, it was power that won it in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. But it was a good race anyway. I think I had it on the start light, same as last year, and he took me at the finish line.
Well, Harlan, you had a problematic weekend, but you came out on top, yes?
Yeah, we have a lot of problems on the run, but we have really a great crew and good sponsors and good equipment, so the car ran hard enough at least to keep ahead of everybody else.
So what does it feel like winning a Cannonball again?
Well, it's good. I don't know how many times we won and how many times we were second, probably more than everybody else put together, but it's good. It's always fun to win here in front of the hometown crowd, in front of the hometown sponsors, even though I'm from America.
So Harlan Thompson collects his 5th Cannonball trophy from slamming Sammy Miller. And that's it from the Cannonball. We'll be back with more drag racing action, courtesy of the Budweiser Drag Race Series in 1994.